Hello, and welcome to this edition of SLU in 6. I'm your host, Jasmine Brown. I recently sat down with SLU senior Alison Talkers, who studied abroad last year in El Salvador as part of a service immersion program here at SLU called Casa de Solidaridad. Alison has always had a passion for service and social justice. She found this program to be the perfect opportunity to enhance her knowledge of real-world poverty. Let's get to the interview and hear why Alison chose to participate in this program and how it can be a great opportunity for other students. Hi, Alison. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start out by you telling us a little bit about how you became inspired to be a part of the CASA program.
Okay, well, I initially as a freshman wanted to do a program in a country that spoke Spanish because Spanish is my minor. And then when I was researching programs, I found out about the CASA program in El Salvador. I didn't really know that much about it, but then I decided to attend an Atlas program event, and some past students in the CASA program were presenting about their experience and kind of what they gained from that experience. And I remember one girl was just sobbing and crying about the people she met and how much she missed them and how much her experience there changed her life. And I left just like being stunned by how authentic that experience seemed to her. And I just researched more about it, talked to more people about it, and just fit perfect with kind of my motives for study abroad.
Okay, so why did you choose this over another program such as going to study abroad in Europe?
Yeah, well, I really liked this program because the tenets of the program weren't just academics, but also accompanying the people in the country. And one of the most important things for me in studying abroad was being really immersed in the culture and the people. And by being in El Salvador, I was able to do that by going to marginalized communities in El Salvador, but then also there was community living with students from Jesuit universities throughout the United States, as well as scholarship students from El Salvador. And then an aspect of spirituality, so it wasn't just kind of, I'm going to take this experience and kind of sit with it myself, but we had the ability to talk about spiritual matters with each other and ask those bigger questions, which was really awesome.
Wow, awesome. So what was a typical day like in El Salvador?
Yeah, well, the good thing about El Salvador is every day is pretty different. We would have classes 3 days a week at the University of Central America, which is walking distance from the houses that we're living in. And then the other 2 days we would go to our marginalized community that we were assigned to. Mine was Las Nubes, and it was on the volcano of San Salvador, about 45 minutes up the volcano. But 2 students were assigned to each community, so you kind of had your own experience. But it was really nice to be able to go to that community with another student and kind of witness the realities that those people, that's their life, and kind of sitting with that and accompanying them, and yeah, just going alongside them in their daily routine.
So what were some of the projects that you did during your visit?
The neat thing about the program is we didn't really do a project, and I was really shocked too when we first got there, because I was like, oh, it's service learning, right? We're gonna actually do something like make a well or something of that nature. But really when they got there, they said, you're here to accompany the people of El Salvador. And I didn't really understand it until I went to the community and just witnessed their daily life and their suffering and their joy and everything. And by doing that, I felt so much connected to the experience because I wasn't just this Westerner, privileged white girl coming in and saying, oh, well, this is how you can change. But I was able to sit with it and really examine what they were going through without putting my judgments forward, which was really liberating for me.
Okay, so other than experiencing someone else's reality, what other challenges did you kind of face while you were there, and what are some lessons that you learned?
Yeah, it was really challenging. Just witnessing in my community, they didn't have access to running water. So dealing with that reality is just one thing, but then also realizing how structural poverty is for them and how it was so difficult for them to advance because of lack of education, lack of job opportunity. And yeah, it was just crazy.
Awesome. So since you were able to experience that firsthand in El Salvador, what do you think would be something that we could do to lessen poverty?
I think the first thing people need to do is have a raising of their conscience, kind of putting yourself on the side of the poor and standing with them and walking with them in their journey is really important to understand what the problems are before you try to tackle them. I really am a firm believer in being in solidarity now with people in poverty to really understand what those problems can be and then how solutions can be made. My biggest recommendation would be education, but like I've said, I'm still kind of in the formation process of really trying to process this concept of poverty, this huge issue. But I think the most important thing is to put a face on it and stop making statistics and really get to know the people in those situations to realize what their needs are and kind of realize that. Because in El Salvador, they had a really neat quote, well, I'll translate it. It was, if you're coming here to solve my problems, you're wasting your time. But if you've come here because your liberation is somehow intertwined in mine, then stay. So I just thought that was so powerful and really summed up the entire experience for me.
That's awesome. That sounds like a very great experience. But I'm sorry, that's all the time we have today. But thank you very much for coming and talking with us.
Thank you.
We'd like to thank Alison for talking with us about her study abroad experience. If you'd like to find out more about the program, visit the El Salvador page on SLU's Study Abroad website. Thanks for watching and see you next time on SLU in 6.